Hello, tubers. Hopefully, you can all hear and see me. It's Monday morning here in Thailand, 8 a.m. Monday morning. A little bit overcast this morning, but nice and warm. Weather looks like a nice day again. Had a bit of rain lately, but just a little bit at night. You don't really notice it. No problem going out during the day. Um, I did think I screwed up the banner heading or announcement of the live stream last time on Saturday. I think I hit the wrong button, so bear with me on this. Oh, well, we do have a comment, so that's good. Maybe the comments are working, but anyways, it's good to be in Thailand. It's fun here. The weather's nice. Um, yeah, it's really good. So Mondays here, we tend to talk a bit about money matters, and but we can cover any topics that are of interest. Obviously, living in Thailand is a great option for many of us, and in order to do that, sometimes it does help to have a little additional income, and so we can talk about that a bit today. We do have a lot of subscribers who are invested in YieldMax ETFs. And I'll talk a bit about that. There's several actually I'm looking at for a monthly, distribution, let's say, to supplement the pensions. Pensions in Canada are pretty Mickey Mouse. So for the most part, meaning, you couldn't really live in the West on these pensions. You can do better here on them, but and I think that's similar with a lot of countries across the planet is, the government pensions aren't necessarily allow for an affordable living in their home countries. And that's why, in my opinion, places like Thailand, Vietnam, possibly Mexico, Costa Rica has been mentioned, Portugal, these are places, expats look to migrate to have a less expensive and yet decent quality of life. So, but anyways, yeah, that's and then today also I'd like to touch a bit on my AI play. So the two big plays I look at are crypto, and that's for me Bitcoin, and AI, artificial intelligence. And for me, that company is Tesla. They seem to embody a lot of different, AI platforms under one roof, let's say. So yeah, that's kind of my two plays going forward. And in the meantime, if you can generate a bit of monthly income, in my case, I've been doing quite a bit through selling call options on my stocks. Some of you have mentioned you're doing the same and enjoying that. I did dabble with these ETF, YieldMax ETFs distributions. Kind of got hammered on a withholding tax with my own fault, but have found out since that if I put it into my retirement income fund in Canada, that there will be no withholding tax. So, anyways, that's where I'm toying with on that. But anyways, that's kind of where we'll, look to take the thing today. But let's see here who we've got. Live and learn with Mike. Good morning, Brooke. Morning, Mike. You seem to be a regular. Thank you. Lost Boy. Yes, I recognize that name. Good morning. Yeah, let me know where you guys are when you're posting. Good morning, from whatever. And kind of interesting to see where everybody is residing. And I know that Scotty Jeans from New Zealand, he tends to mention that every time, which is good. America Unboxed, there's a new one, I think. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, it's hopefully working. And you can hear me okay. I think everything should be fine. Jeff Sigler, top of the morning to you, Brooke. Top of the morning to you, Jeffy. Yeah, morning in Thailand. I think it's evening actually in the West. I'm from Ontario, so there I think it's 9, a little after 9 in the evening. So, some of you maybe are up late, but yeah. WTF. Good morning, Brooke. Good morning, WTF. Good to see all you Guys back on. Lost Boy, hit, hit the thumbs up. It's a little early for that, isn't it? No, that does make Darlene smile, and it does help the channel apparently. And I think what it does, I've kind of been told or read in that it helps you get additional comments, content similar to what this is. So if you're of interest to you, you'll get additional comments streamed to you through their whatever algorithms, I suppose. Chris Wheeler, I think Chrissy's from Texas. Morning, Brooks. See you all the next meetup at Fraser's. Flying out with my one-way ticket and duffel bag. Okay. Met Chrissy in the pool a few months back and had fun with him, Texas boy. And don't forget your onward ticket, Chris. You'll need that just to make sure things go smooth. Buy the cheapest one you can for maybe 30 days out, whatever. Not that they'll ask for it. I mean, but you better be safe than sorry, and you probably already have that. So maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but yeah, let us know how things are back in Texas. R, hello, Brooke and everyone. There's another regular. R, thanks for coming on. Shakira Moses, San Diego. Well, thank you for that, Shakira. I've never been to San Diego, but I hear it's beautiful there. I think it's southern part of California along the coastline, and but I do follow the Chargers. They're out of San Diego, so I do like the NFL team there. Jim Harbaugh, I think, is the coach now. Good guy. So yeah. America Unboxed, California. Okay, well, that's a big state too. But yeah, Scotty Richmond's from California. He's coming over. So we tend to have a lot of people here from all over the planet. So that's kind of interesting. You make new friends, and it's funny, more so than you ever would back in your home country. Sure, I had a lot of friends back in Stratford, Ontario. In fact, one of them, messaged me last night saying, how you doing with the earthquake? And but yeah, once you're in Thailand, you tend to meet people of a similar vein, meaning they got the heck out of their country for whatever reasons. And Australians, England, Scotland, Denmark, Sweden. I mean, they're from all over the planet. Obviously, the U.S. is big, Canada as well. But yeah, so that's good to see. And you make a lot of good friends. It turns out you find people that have a similar viewpoint. Maybe things weren't just as good in their home country, a little too wokeness, or possibly pensions weren't enough to live on. And, yeah, so it's quite interesting to meet these new people. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, thanks, America Unboxed, for letting us know that. Jeff Sigler, I am in Colorado, where it is 7 p.m. Oh, there you go. So it's a little earlier. I think the further west you go from New York, it tends to, get a few hours better for the show, let's say. Roger Harney, hey, Brooke, it's 8 p.m. Sunday night here in Chicago. Okay, so you're about 12-hour difference then. That's okay. Chicago, I've been to O'Hare Airport, quite a big airport there. Used to watch the Chicago Blackhawks back in the old day when there was only 6 teams. That kind of dating myself. But yeah, Bobby Hall was there, and quite a few good players. WTF, 2 a.m. in the UK. Whoa, what are you doing up that late? Well, thank you for that. But yeah, that's that's middle of the night in the UK. Hopefully things are okay. Alvia Abroad, good morning from Central Kentucky. 9 p.m. here. Used to drive through Kentucky on my way down to Florida. Used to winter down in Largo, Florida, guys. And I enjoyed it mainly there for the weather. Prices were similar to where I came from. You had to kind of maintain 2 locations. So I had one in Florida, one in Canada. So, that's an additional expense you find out living here you don't need. But no, it was nice there. However, if I had known about Thailand, I would have been coming here instead of Florida for those 20 years. Sure, a little longer flight, but my heavens, when you see it, you spend about a quarter of what you would back in the West on a monthly basis here in retirement. And but yeah, anyways, interesting. So I used to drive through Kentucky, quite a nice state. You definitely, I'd leave. Sometimes I left in the winter, there'd be snow on the ground in Canada. By the time you got to Kentucky, southern Kentucky, nah, you were noticing the difference in the weather already. So that was always nice. Tommy Lee, the Terminator. There's that big smile. Good morning, Brooke. I think Tommy's over in New Jersey. Good morning to you, Tommy. The worst part of going to Thailand is going to Thailand. Correct. That flight is hard. Yep, it is. I mean, obviously you're excited the first time, but you realize after the first time, that is a damn long flight. If you're able to do the business class, which I haven't, Cooper does, it's definitely helps. So any of you, if you've got the budget, look at that business class ticket because it does make it a lot easier. Now, one trick for me, I was in Canada, so it took me about 6 hours to cross Canada, and let alone the flight from Canada to Bangkok. So, or in my case, the Philippines at that time. I would stop over in Vancouver for a couple nights, mainly because I had family there. So, you'd see the family, take a couple days, and then, it kind of broke up the flight. So that's a possibility. When I did it from Tampa one time to the Philippines, I stopped over in LA, never been there. So they'll spend a day. So that kind of broke that flight up. But yeah, they're long flights. And, I tend to check out the seat widths, and leg room. That's important in the economy side. But yeah, if you can afford the business class, you're much better off. David Sutherland, Jomtien. I'm in Jomtien and from Australia. Okay, Davey, great to know. A lot of Aussies here. We have fun with them. I was out with an Aussie last night. Brownie, good guy. Chris Wheeler, $48 ticket to Phnom Penh. Well, there you go. So Chrissy's right on the ball here. He's got everything ticked off on that checklist. Lost Boys, South Florida. Okay, well, yeah, we do get quite a few Floridians on here. Got Floridians in the group here and living in Jomtien too. Vegan Warrior, I'm on my way, hopefully in April. Yep, well, that's great. Better, sooner than later, and better late than never. April is Songkran month here, so it's called like a water festival. This will be my third one. First one, you're kind of new, so you're excited. Oh yeah, what's all this about? So you go out there and you end up getting soaked, and everyone's laughing and carrying on. And I mean, guys drive down the expressways with pickup trucks, and I mean, they got 300-gallon barrels on the back with hoses, and they're hosing people, man, in the next door vehicles or on the side of the road. And I mean, people make a big do of this. You don't see any police around because they get hammered too, and they don't do anything. I mean, that's just part of the culture here so they tend to stay away from the water, the water cannons and the water fights. But yeah, it's an interesting time. So consequently, because of that, and it's very well attended, so tourism tends to peak in April for this Songkran festival. However, it kind of ends at the end of April. So May 1st, you kind of realize low season starts May 1st. And you will see a dramatic drop off that first week in not only people. I know at Dusset here, we definitely see a big drop off in, people using the pool, the equipment, the gyms, it's just quiet. So your availability for getting deals, let's say, on rentals, increases quite a bit. So yeah, interesting fact, May 1st on, low season. Runs till about end of September. So, that's the time you might want to look at booking if you're thinking of staying long term. But yeah, April, if you're coming in April, vegan, I would say get a short term, maybe even do a Holiday Inn Express for a few days just to give you time to search out availability. Now, people will know that are renting that, hey, this guy's leaving at the end of April because that's when his thing's up. So you'll have a lot more availability for May 1st options. So that's good. Roger the Dodger, Roger Carpenter. Good morning, Brooke. It's 8 p.m. Sunday evening here in Chicago. There's another Chicagonian. Tommy Lee, the Tominator. Oh, New York City, Queens. Okay, so sorry about that, Tommy. I misspoke. Queens, New York. There you go. Live and learn with Mike. I hated coming back to Detroit, Michigan, USA, due to family emergency, but I was always be back to jump in when things get corrected. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. Those things pop up in life, and you got to handle them. And but you know where you like to be once things are back to normal and handled. So, Jumpkin's a great area, guys. If you've never been here, it's not the party city like Pattaya. Pattaya to me is more for the young crowd, the tourism guys. 2 weeks on vacation, want to go wild. Pattaya is your place because they got everything there. On the opposite end, I would say, expat retirees, some of them love Bank Saray. It's so quiet. It's like a little fishing village, I call it. Beautiful waterfronts there, reasonably prices again, but super quiet. You don't have the malls there, and you don't, maybe not as many fast food chains or restaurants, although the local restaurants will be ideal, especially if you're into seafood. But I tend to love Jomtien because it's the happy medium. It's big enough and close enough if you want to hit the malls or the Pattaya scene for a music festival some night, you're there. And yet you don't have the crowds, let's say, and the partiers, the young people. It's kind of in between. So take a look at Jomtien if you're thinking. Robert Pierpont, good morning from Moscow. Moscow, Indiana. Yeah, there you go. Well, there's our Russian friends. There's a lot of Russians here, by the way, guys. A lot of Chinese as well. These would be tourists. They seem to be, for the most part. The Russians tend to have a family, like they'll be the grandparents, the parents, and some kids, and they're enjoying the pools and having a fun time. And so maybe it's they're here for the festival as well, and head back because they do tend to empty out once Songkran's over. So, Vegan Warrior, 9 p.m. in Virginia. Okay. R says, live and learn with Mike. That is where I am. Hope that clears up for you. Okie dokie. Frank T. Futures are down again. Losing money makes me sad. Well, yeah, Frankie, hang on. It's like I look at it as a buy and hold thing. I'm looking for 3 to 5 years. So to me, when it's down like this, it tends to be a buying opportunity. I did buy some Tesla last week, and glad I did because it's up from where I bought it. But it's kind of like dollar cost averaging. Didn't buy a lot, 10 shares. So but yeah, so it does provide. Nobody likes to lose money, but you don't lose until you sell. It's just on paper. So look at it as a positive. Hey, it's a good way to increase your holdings at a lower cost, say. And I'm not a trader, so I tend to it's buy and hold on everything. And but yeah, Bitcoin has been fluctuating. I call it chop solidation between 80 and 90, let's say, for quite a while. However, the adoption is growing, guys. Every week there seems to be, just this past week, GameStop, I thought that company was a joke and a half. In fact, I still think it is a year and a half ago. Well, now they've decided to set up a Bitcoin reserve strategy similar to Saylor with, MicroStrategy. So, the guy's not as stupid as I thought he was. And he's got a few billion sitting on his balance sheet. He had issued shares at the peak of that GameStop, run, and got a whack of money sitting in his treasury. So probably a smart move. But no one likes to lose money. And again, you don't really lose unless you sell at a loss. So, I'm a buy and hold type of guy. If you're a trader, then you got to be a little sharper because, you're probably in and out a lot and you got to, really watch your buys and when to sell. But I don't recommend. I found over, I'm 72 in life that the less trading I do, the better. Buy and hold is the way to go. The stocks with Bitcoin, I know where it's going to be in 5 years, a hell of a lot higher than it is today. And why is that? It's because the adoption is growing and will grow even more rapidly than it has from pennies to thousands of dollars took so many years. Well, guess what? From 80,000 to 300,000 won't be as many years. It'll be 1 to 2 to 3 is my opinion. So anyways, hold on, guys. It's called hodling. Malcolm Hawkins, there's our gold bug from Tasmania. G'day, Brooke. Midday at sunny Bruny Island today. Well, that's good, Malcolm. Yeah, Malcolm's always great fun when he's back home. Lovely wife, Katea, and we miss them. He owns a place here, by the way. He's made a good buy at it. Yeah, got business down there in Tassie land, so enjoy it. Enjoy the holiday, Malcolm. Richard Duger. Good morning, Brooke. Can't wait for retirement 2.0. Yeah. Well, there you go. Good to see you, Bubba. And I think Tony says he's been in touch with you. Had some good chats. So good luck to you with everything. And just Bubba actually, that's Richard, by the way, introduced me to Misty YieldMax ETFs. And I had never heard of these things. And he said, oh, yeah, no, I've been in them for a while, been doing good on them. So I immediately, when I got back to the condo, pulled up the iPad and started doing the research. And I'm like, Jesus, how the hell can these guys be paying this? But the more you research into it, you realize how they do it. They're option traders. They're not trading the stock. They're investing in the options market. And options are priced based on volatility. And when you've got high volatility, you get high premiums on the options. So that's what the company's doing. It's I call it harvesting this premium income on these options. And they do well at it. They're obviously sharp boys. They know what they're doing. They know how to play the market. And I know Richard has done tremendously well. I think he's got his money out within less than a year of what he invested. And now it's all play money he's got, so to speak, invested. So yeah, but thanks to him, and then obviously the channel mentioning this, a lot of subscribers have looked at the YieldMax ETFs and have invested in them, and they're happy. I mean, I've met no one yet that's not happy with them. So they like that monthly distribution, and it's a great way to supplement, let's say, a monthly income if you need a bit more. And let's see here. I'll pull up some. Yeah. So I've looked at a couple of them. And I'll just give you an idea what the payouts are on these things, guys. So first off, Misty, and I think Richard there's big into the Misty one. Last month, and this is only for a month, it paid $1.37 a share. And the share's trading at $20.37. So, that's almost 7% on your money for 1 month. Do that by 12 months, that's 84% of your money back in 12 months. So a little hard to believe, but no, and that's actually a low payout on that stock compared to the history of it. They've been as high as $4 a month. But I looked at Coney, CONY, and they trade the options on Coinbase, and that's a volatile stock as well. Yeah, it paid out almost 60 cents March the 6th, and the stock's $7.73. So, that's like 8% on your 1 month payment. So that's a pretty good one. And the last one I'm looking at this is for myself now, guys. I'll let you know if and when I do pull the trigger on this, but is Tesla, and that's based on the volatility of the Tesla options. They paid out March 20th at 46.38 cents a share, and the shares are trading at $8.32. So, that's about a little under 6% for the month. So, yeah. Now, who would use that? Well, someone that's got, maybe a very small pension and needs to supplement their income. For example, if you did Misty, even at $1.37 on a $20 share, if you bought 1,000 shares, that's 20,000 invested. Last month you would have pulled in $1,370 American on a 20,000 American investment. So maybe that's all you need to live on a month with your pension. So isn't that interesting, guys? People wonder, well, geez, do I have enough to retire? Do I have enough to, income, investments, let's say, to, live out my life? Well, people with a very, very small savings that are maybe in a quandary what to do, if you picked up a couple thousand shares of that, say 40,000 investment, maybe 60 if you wanted 3,000, you'd have a damn good living here in Thailand. Now, you'd have to worry about withholding tax if you're not American. Obviously, you got to file income taxes if you are. But anyways, something to look at. Thanks again, Richard, for that. Good luck to you. Richard's back, I believe, in Alabama. Truck driving man. Live and learn with Mike. I already started selling everything to move to Thailand. Yeah, that's it's a to-do list, guys. You make up a list of all the things you need to do before you move, and one of the hardest is to downsize, and especially with the mementos and the long-term holds you've had. What do you do? But look to family and friends, and then goodwill stores maybe. Richard Duggar, Malcolm, get a job. Okay, there we go. Nomad Jack, good morning, Brooke from the Philippines. Wowzer. Well, Philippines is nice. Great people, English speaking for the most part. I was there a little less than a year, but I definitely like Thailand better, Nomad. So maybe you've visited, but if you get a chance, come on over, bring your Filipino with you. There's lots here. And we tend to say, Jesus, it's great. We got the best of both worlds. So, yep. Thanks for coming on. I never thought I would want to leave my country for good, but I'm at that point. Yeah, I know that feeling, Richard, or R. I would say don't ever look at it as you're leaving for good. You're just leaving, and, you don't know what the future holds. But yeah, I never thought about leaving for good, but I got no interest in going back yet. So a lot of that was based on what Trudeau did. But, maybe if we get a new government in Canada and things change, well, maybe I'll go for a visit. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to live there anymore. But why I say that, nothing against the country. It's just that the affordability here, once you've been exposed to it, you kind of get spoiled. I was doing okay back in the West, kind of like treading water. I had nice investments, nice homes, nice vehicles, nice way of life. But I wasn't really getting ahead. I was kind of just, as I said, treading water, month to month, year to year. And coming to initially the Philippines and now Thailand, holy Lipton, I'm saving money every month, investing every month. Investments are growing. And I think, well, this is a nice life. Yeah, so that's just my case, and everyone will be different. LV Abroad, when do you think Bitcoin will start growing? Some say June, some say September. Yeah, LV, and some say, oh, the rush is over, like where the winter has started, which I don't believe that. So there's all different points of views, but no one can say, and again, this is not financial advice. It's just, opinions, I guess you might say, trying to help people. But I follow James at Invest Answers, and he thinks by June, July, we might just see a pretty big upswing, based on technical indicators, let's say, and what's happening. here's what's going on. I call them the paper hands, the short-term holders, people on vacation that I call investing in Bitcoin. They're selling. They're getting the heck out. Maybe they've taken a loss. They never want to come back. But you know who's buying? The long-term holders, the big bags. They're buying and they're not selling. They're not dumping. So you know, the sailors of the world, they're buying massive, and he's laughing because he's buying at the low prices now. So where it's going to head is upwards. When is the question? The quicker that adoption starts, the quicker we'll see the price increase. You just have to kind of watch weekly, watch the news, and realize, Jesus, there's nobody that's saying, oh, well, this is a scam. We're getting the hell out. No, you're hitting governments talking about it. I mean, sure, states are, yeah, we're putting a bill forward for a Bitcoin reserve for Texas. And some of them have been approved. But that's what's happening. Have they started buying yet? I don't know. Probably not yet if they haven't got approved, but they will. And more corporations, pension funds, they're all coming. And the talk is out there about, Jesus, maybe we better do something. Maybe we have to take a look at this for investment. I mean, here's a funny story. You know, Germany had 50,000 or 40,000 Bitcoins and sold them at $40,000, you know, and like 2 months later, the price is 80. And what a bunch of bozos. So, you know, you were laughing kind of back then. What's the matter with these guys? Don't they? Well, now, guess what? Germany, they're talking about initiating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, similar to what the US is talking about. So who you know, who was running that place when they decided to sell? Obviously not the same guys, I hope. Ernest Jones, good morning, Brooke, from my cruise ship in Miami, headed to Seattle. Oh, he's doing a cruise from Miami to Seattle. Be going through the Panama Canal then. Good to see you, Ernest. Giovanni Pulo, Southside Johnny from Aussie Land. Good day, Brooke, from Cheap Living in Sydney, Australia. Yeah, he's laughing as he said that because he knows, and I've been to Sydney, it ain't cheap, okay? Mind you, Johnny lives, I think he's got an attic he lives in over there, so he rents out his house, you know, or the garage, one of the two. But yeah, so maybe he does have cheap accommodation, but we'll see you soon, Johnny, hopefully. R at Frank T. Everything bounces back eventually, but protect yourself if you can, my brother. Yeah, you can protect yourself if you've got investments. You know, you can buy puts. You know, that's a way to play the options to protect your gains. And yeah, but anyways, if you've done your research, number one, it's important to always do your research. Don't invest in anything you don't understand. So, I mean, I don't totally understand, you know, this white paper on Bitcoin, but I understand enough about Bitcoin and the basics that I know where it's headed. But as far as nodes and, you know, mining and that, yeah, that's the part, maybe it's Greek to me, but understand research, understand what you're investing in. And the reason I say that, you feel a lot more comfortable. I know where Tesla's going to be, and I know where Bitcoin's going to be in, you know, 3 to 5 years. And it's a hell of a lot higher than it is today. Roger Walker, good morning, Brooke. Good morning, Roger the Dodger. Don Delonic, there's our XRP guru. Good morning, Brooke. Late today, washing clothes and drying on the veranda for the maid. Employ the locals for everything. Correct. Rent a wife. Well, Donnie has, he's got it worked out now for him. Likes his massages every week. He's in the pool every day. He's feeling, he's like a new man, you know. He came from Hawaii, which was very expensive. So he's actually loving it here. And yeah, Ronnie, he's a firm believer in renting a wife. So, you know, good for you, Donnie. R says, so for now, you just stay indoors for the festival. April is the month for grab foods. Yeah, it's funny with this Songkran. Now, R's got a point. A lot of people say, to heck with this water festival. I'm not getting involved in that. So they stay in their condo. I think I did quite a bit of that last year. But it's funny, the festival, the water fights or whatever you call it, spraying tends to rotate around the area. So you can still hop on your scooter, and I still go to the gym every day. So I'm not worried about that. I go early enough in the morning. You probably just around supper time at night, you might not want to be out in your scooter on the main roads. And, if you're out viewing, you will, because if it's first time, you want to say, hey, what is this all about? What's going on? But then after you've seen that and been, soaked a few times, you say, maybe it's not for me. But yeah, a lot of people. And then Grab is the food company here where you can order and they'll deliver to you. So but I don't think they get too wet. The people here, the Thais say the guys make a living delivering food. They're not going to hammer the guys. So that's just my opinion on that. Vegan Warrior, spend dollars, but save in Bitcoin. Just go Bitcoin. Correctamundo. Yep. Rain Nathan, hello again, wonderful people. Hello, Rain. Where are you at, Rain Nathan? Let us know. It's interesting to see. There's Captain Action, and he's a subscriber supporting the channel. I think Coop says it's $2 a month, but he's gifted a Cooper's membership to someone. So thank you for that, Captain Action. That's great. Robert Pierpont, I make as much, if not more money per week on 2 swing trading stocks like MicroStrategy than I would selling covered calls on the shares over the same period. Yep. Everybody's different. Robert has decided to do trading and, swing trades in and out. MicroStrategy is volatile. So, and the good news with volatility, for me, it increases the premiums I get by selling the calls. So I'm different than Robert. But for Robert, the volatility of the stock price, and he follows it, watches it, and he'll have probably some technical analysis backing him up to say, boy, when it hits this bottom price, that's a support level, so I'm buying. And then when it hits a certain higher price, that's the time to exit. So he's doing, trading, and by the sounds of it. And yeah, if you get familiar and do enough research and follow it enough, you tend to get pretty good at picking the highs and lows for the most part. So what I do different though, Robert, my view is I don't want to be caught offside, with a jump. Like if Bitcoin doubled in a week, and that could easily happen, my stock prices would probably more than double. I want to make sure my price, I'm not, my stock's not called away. So I keep pretty high strikes on those. But anyways, it's, we're all different. Yeah. Okay. Captain Action, Brooke, thank you for all the great work. Well, I don't do much. I just tell you what I kind of see happening. And I tell you guys, you're going to love Thailand when you get here. It's life's pretty good. The big thing with Thailand compared to the West, you don't see any whiners and complainers. Okay. I mean, I would go out for coffee with a bunch of my buddies back in Stratford, Ontario. Great people, by the way. But boy, there was always somebody whining and complaining about something that happened at the government office or at work if they were still working, or, just it's funny. And, most of the time we're all laughing at this complaint, but yeah, here Thailand, everyone's happy. It's I think the prices, have a lot to do with it. It's affordable. But yeah, it's a positive attitude here in the land of smiles. And that's a big difference I see from a lot of people in the West. Yeah, but it's funny in life, guys. One of the biggest issues people have and stress in their lives is over money. And when you can adjust your budget, which you can do easily in Thailand, to a much, much lower amount for a quality life, you've reduced your stress level tremendously. So, yeah, anyways, that's part of the reason I love Thailand. Giovanni, so say Johnny, I'm hoping Misty will help top up my Aussie peso. He stole that line from me, didn't you, Johnny? The Canadian peso. So he can retire in Thailand. Trust me, I think Johnny, and a lot of people might be similar. You could already retire in Thailand. It's just, what do you do with the assets you've got? And, there's certain other things, you got to be concerned about, family matters possibly, and, missing people. And, I mean, some people have pets. What do they do? They love these animals. And I think that's can be issues, but no, everyone's different. And Misty definitely, Johnny, will help you, and I think anybody um, get that supplemental income each month. But then the question is, how much do you need each month? You don't need a lot to live here. Now, if you're a party guy and you like to rent a wife every night, then you're going to cost a little more money than and people like me. I maybe have go out for beers once a week or once every 2 weeks, but so my budget will be less. But come on back, Johnny. Robert Nutt, hello again. Retired in December, moving to Thailand in May. Good time to come, Robert. You'll definitely be at the start of low season. Your options for accommodations will be tremendous, and hopefully, you've been here before, so kind of the area. But yeah, if you rent for a year in May, you're laughing. I think you'll get a tremendous deal. I know nothing about investing, but I'm learning a little at a time. Yeah, YouTube videos, guys, tend to be great for introductory investing. And keep it easy, keep it simple, Robert. The worst thing people can do, in my opinion, is keep dollars in the bank, because they pay nothing on it and they keep printing more dollars every day, chasing, the same amount of goods. So the prices tend to inflate. So your dollars go less, don't go as far. So you're losing purchasing power by keeping simple dollars in the bank. Next bad or worst thing is like bonds, because you're fixed how many dollars you get back, but you might make another percent or two, 3, 4, 5% on a bond for a year. Well, when you can get these YieldMax ETFs paying that kind of or higher returns in a month, not 6% a year, 6% a month, and that's why people are looking at them. And guys, listen, millions and millions of people shares are traded on these, so it's become tremendously popular. So yeah, might be worthwhile. But Robert's point is, a lot of people are in Robert's situation. So what I would recommend is start investing time in research, and YouTube's a good place to start. And find something of interest. If you something twigs when you're watching these videos, you might say, yeah, I'll take a look at that, and how to set it up and what investment vehicle. I mean, you know, TD Ameritrade is good if you're in the West. IBKR is great if you're, anywhere on the planet. They tend to be. And I tend to like the US markets, obviously, for the size of them, easily traded, and, versus what? Well, I don't invest in Asia. I don't invest in the Philippines. I don't invest in Europe. I'm not a big Japan follower. Definitely stay away from China markets. So, yeah, there's lots of options. Frank T. Brooke, what did you ever do with your storage locker actually, it's in Canada, in Stratford, Ontario. You ever come back to the US? No, I don't go back to the USA, or no need to. Being from Canada, now I do keep, I have I'm not going to say a residence. I live with my daughter when I did go back to visit, but I haven't been back there in almost 2 years now. Um, so, and I have a pretty big sports card collection I keep there, which, something happens to me, she'll have, fine, good. I do still have, though, Frank, this damn storage unit in Stratford, Ontario. I do remember some things I have in there. Most of it I don't. So what the heck was it that I didn't even remember? And when I go back, whenever that is, whether it's 6 months or 2 years from now, I probably will do something with it. But it's just the cost of doing business, and it's one of the ones I'll try and get rid of when I get the chance. But yeah, the point of that is, Frank's right. I should have never rented that damn thing. You know what I mean? I could have invested that $150 a month right into Bitcoin at even more, but oh well, it is what it is. So what to learn from that? If at all possible, don't do a rental storage unit. You'll probably end up like me, not realizing after a year or two what the hell's in there. You don't really need it, guys. It's not affecting my quality of life in Thailand. But then, so why did I need it, right? So yeah, and what it is, it's sentimental emotions, mementos you're keeping. Oh, I'll worry about this later. I'll worry about this later. Yeah, well, later doesn't come. So yeah, you don't need it. Richard Duggar, Baba, Misty is the way to go. So yeah, I know Richard's big on the Misty. I think Misty will pay $2. He thinks it'll go up next month from the $1.37 it did pay. It did pay over $2 the month prior. So, interesting, or 2 months prior, whatever. We need MicroStrategy to go up this week. Yeah, it's kind of drawn. The payouts do tend to follow the price increases, it seems. At least the stock price does too. They got calls from 310 to 330. We need a good week in the stock market. Yeah. Yeah, and we've been needing that for a while, haven't we, Richard? But again, Richard's a good. We hope to see you back here, Richard, too, when you're done your trucking career. Kenny Beck, James from Invest Answers is awesome. Correctamundo. I pulled the trigger on 1300 FBTC 2 weeks ago. Well done. That's the pure Bitcoin play, guys. Before the election on data he presented on Bitcoin prior to a presidential election. Yes. So James is the gentleman that you see on the videos for Invest Answers, all one word. And I follow that guy religiously every day. And I got a set of headphones. I do my warm up at the gym anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. And I follow his routine, with the video on the phone, right on the warm up machine. So check him out, Invest Answers. He's great. He does quite a bit of research into Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Tesla, Solana. That's and he'll tell you why. So so he's one to follow. Obviously, Kenny's done well with them. Also, just as a tidbit, I've started following now. I did in the past, but not as routinely. And now I do routinely follow Brighter with Herbert. That's Brighter with Herbert. Now he's a Tesla bull, and he's got good guys on there explaining Tesla and what's happening, the latest news, the latest updates. So yeah, I found him to be tremendously valuable for information. And it's kind of interesting because with Herbert, Tesla, and James being also, a firm believer in Tesla, you're kind of getting both sides of the story. And it's good to see the confirmations of that. Yeah. Just my opinion. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good afternoon. Just good to see you. Thanks for coming. Robert Pierpont, I like covered calls, as I do, Robert, on some stocks, but volatile stocks, I happen to do better on the swings. Okay, so he does a little bit of both. Good for you. Like I bought 50 MicroStrategy shares at 235. Goodbye. Sold them on this past run at 340. Well done. In and out, you rascal. That took 2 weeks to make $5,250. Yeah, if you can do that once every couple months, man, you can live 2 months free here in Thailand. So you don't need a lot of good trades like that, Robert. But and with your calls, I tend to like the calls. I keep my stock. For example, on those 340, maybe I sold the calls at 750, 700, 600, 800, whatever. And so, in other words, if some reason my stock got called away, it'd be at a tremendous profit. But in the meantime, I get paid to wait, paid to wait, paid to wait. So I kind of like the covered calls because I'm getting paid to wait till the stock price jumps. But again, that's Robert understands that YouTube is where you'll get a lot of information on covered calls, folks. Richard Doogie Hauser. Giovanni, I need $1 million for all this party life in Thailand. Oh, yeah. And now you don't. Roger Walker, what would be a good amount of Misty to have? Any amount's good, Roger. Like if you did 100 shares of Misty, you'd invest about 2,000 American, and last month would have got you $137 on a $2,000 investment. Now I know Joe from England. I think he's got 500 shares. So what's he getting? He's getting like $650 a month on the last monthly check, and that 500 shares was like 10,000 invested. So, that's kind of like he looks at it as a supplement to his pension. You don't get big pensions from England apparently, so this kind of really helps out. It's kind of play money for him, but yeah. So any amount is good. Now, I tend to look at say 1,000 shares. 1,000 shares would generate $1,370 and run you about 20,000 investments. So 1,370, you could live here in that if probably double is what I would spend in a month, and you don't suffer for anything. But so that would be a 40,000 investment. Now I know, and Richard Duger, Bubba will tell you he put a lot more than that in, and he's done tremendously well, keeping it for over a year now. Phil T, morning, Brooke. What are your thoughts, Nvidia and Tesla? Nvidia is a great company. I don't own it. I know James has a bit of it, but they've had a pretty good run. So of the two, I put my money on Tesla because they haven't had the big run yet. So Nvidia's putting out new chips all the time. Will there be competition for those chips? Hard to say, but they definitely are the leader. So it maybe is part of your portfolio. However, for my focus, if I had to invest $1,000 tomorrow, or 10,000, or 100,000, I would certainly put it more into Tesla than Nvidia in my case. But that's just me. I'm trying to build up my Tesla bag. I'm pretty heavy in the MicroStrategy, and I know James has been flipping a bit because he wants to get kind of 50-50 Tesla and Bitcoin, at least MicroStrategy. So, but I'm not there yet, so I might have to do a little bit more flipping. But anyways, hopefully that helps on that. A Marino, be very careful of the investing gurus on YouTube suggesting strategies that are either fraudulent or not realistic. Correctamundo. There's a whack of people. I mean, it's getting to the point you don't know who the hell to believe on YouTube anymore, or the news, or the reports you read, on the iPads, news stations. Like, who the hell? Where, is this true? Can this, even on places like X, can you believe all the posts on there? So you have to take a lot of it with a grain of salt. And again, I don't follow, Marino, a lot of YouTube channels for that simple reason. At one time I wanted to learn all about this. I want to learn all, and then my God, you think this guy doesn't have a clue what the hell he's talking about, after you've seen a while. And so for the most part, then I found James Invest Answers, and honestly, I watched them. I didn't follow the advice because I said, I'm just going to play, I don't know this guy, but the more I watched and followed, the more I started, oh yeah, the guy doesn't seem to know what he's talking about. And then obviously proof's in the pudding. So I bought a bit of MicroStrategy, and Jesus, price was volatile up and down, and Jesus, then it really took off, and then it split. Then I got 10 for 1 on my shares, and I'm thinking, shit, this guy does know what he's talking about. Tesla, didn't own any Tesla, didn't care about Tesla. Tesla, car company, nah, I don't think that's the way to go. But boy, the more I started watching that, how can this Tesla share price be so high? They're not making that much money. Well, the future, that's what you got to look at. And the more I followed these Tesla research guys, this Brighter with Herbert was a sharp guy too. So he's had some great people on. And I mean, this full self-driving that's coming, the robots that are coming, the battery pack storage that's already here. There's so many avenues for this, what I call AI play with Tesla. It's not a car company. Trust me, guys. That's going to be a small segment, but everything else is going to be huge. So that's where those two are about the only guys I follow, Marino, on there. Because honestly, I don't have time for all the bullshit and all the other idiots that are out there promoting this and, follow our strategy. Things mean revert back. We will, double our money and all. No, I'm not that technical guru. Buy and hold. That's my advice. Buy and hold. Pick out the winners, do your research, know what you're buying, and simply buy and sit on them. And here's what I expect to happen for me with Tesla. I expect a 5 to 10x in 5 years, based on what they're going to be putting on the market with robo-taxis, humanoid robots. I mean, everybody's going to want a robot in their home. Might be a rental, but they'll definitely want it to do everything that they don't want to do. So robo-taxis, self-driving, yeah. If you can do work in a car instead of having to drive it, you will love to do your work. You might sleep in your car on the way from, across the states or whatever. So that's where the future is. But, and Bitcoin, obviously, I think will, end up probably not as big as a Tesla in a 5 or 10x, but, 2 to 3x in 5 years, maybe more. So just an opinion. Jeff Trujillo, hey, Brooke, I put 10 grand into Misty. So, it's roughly 500 shares and, you'll be generating a nice return on the monthly. And the funny thing is, guys, with this Misty, they paid a $4 dividend distribution more than once. Well, it's like on 500 shares, that's 2,000 a month, and he only put 10 in. So it did take a lot of months to get your money back. But I think the average since inception is like $2 and change as an average payout. So if you're there through the highs, through the lows, you've done real good. So yeah, take a look. Robert Pierpont, Robinhood is rolling out AI-assisted trading, managed accounts that have zero fees if the account is over 100K, and they are becoming an online bank that will deliver cash to you. I have to pick up some shares. Yeah, well, Robert likes to promote Robinhood. Robinhood is big trading platform. I think they were the first ones, guys, or close to the first, to come out with zero trading fees. Wow, how can they make money? But yeah, anyways, they have their ways. But yeah, it's popular. Here's the issue. I think at the time I was in Canada, I couldn't get it because I wasn't American. So I don't know if they changed that. I think you can. I think you can get it now in Canada, possibly in England. But yeah, something to look into for a trading platform. I know IBKR is in over 160 countries. You can access the accounts, so they're legit. They're huge. The guy that runs it's on CNBC lots, and he's trustworthy. You can see that. So I know Cooper. I got him set up with IBKR. So if you're in Thailand and you're looking to do a trading account, that's one to look at, and possibly Robinhood if you were able to get it. LV 5150. I think Saylor is in a position to make a big buy tomorrow of Bitcoin. And yes, James is the best on YouTube to follow. Yeah, Saylor tends to buy, at least has, weekly. So we'll see what's happening with that this week. If he does have he's over 500,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet now, guys. And companies are starting to imitate him. Mara is a Bitcoin mining company. Jesus, them buggers are close to 50,000 coins. They're like 10% the size of Saylor, strategy. So that Mara, I do own a bit of Mara, not a lot. I think 1,700 shares. So, but worthwhile maybe looking at. Riot is another miner. It's got a big bag of Bitcoin. But what's happening, guys, is like this GameStop. You know, he's got a few billion on his balance sheet. He's talking about this taking that cash, which is the buying power is losing every day he holds it in cash, and putting that into Bitcoin. Maybe not all, but probably a good slug of it. So wouldn't that be interesting? So there's more and more adoption, which I call that, coming. And all it's going to take, guys, in my opinion, is for some sovereign wealth fund, some country, big one, or you know, a big S&P 500 company to announce we are getting into Bitcoin as a reserve asset on our balance sheet. That's all it's going to take. I mean, imagine if Apple or Warren Buffett or Google, Amazon, if one of the big companies or you know, the U.S. actually started buying Bitcoin. Texas, the state announces, yes, we've just picked up 5,000 Bitcoin to initiate our holdings in our reserve, Bitcoin reserve. Then you're going to see things start to really heat up, because, you know, first to the well wins, and, you know, people don't want to be left out. So you'll see a lot more adoption. Dave Stewart, normally the higher the yield, the higher the risk. Correct. Do you know where is the risk in Misty? The annual yield is enormous. Well, the risk to me, when I looked at it, Dave, you got to be careful. This distribution, I think some months they were paying you back your own money. So in other words, you know, when the dividend was $4, distribution, I shouldn't call it dividend. It's actually a distribution. When the distribution was $4, they didn't make $4 on their option trading. They maybe made 220, but for whatever reason, they're paying 4. So to me, that's paying you back a bit of your own money. And the share price would reflect that. So a lot of times, you know, if the payout was $2.50, the shares tend to drop $1.50 or $2. Well, whose money are they giving you? You know what I mean? So that's it. Now, having said that, the more I followed, and I still follow it and look at it, Jesus, that damn share price, you didn't want to get in at $30 or $35. I think the peak was 40. If you got in there, well, you better hold on for long term, or, you know. But if you got in at low 20s, I mean, it's traded under 20, shit, you're sitting pretty good. And so there's a lot less risk with the share price, depending on what you get in at. Is you'll always get a distribution, in my opinion, Dave. The question is what is the investment to get that? And if you're in at 30, 35, $40, your investment's quite high. If you're in at the low 20s or under 20, your investment's tremendously low, and obviously a lot less risk. So what is the risk? It could be in the share price falling over time. I haven't seen that. It probably will track a MicroStrategy, in my opinion. So I think there's a floor there. Now, Misty is low, in my opinion, because MicroStrategy is low. In other words, I see MicroStrategy price going up, as I do with Tesla and also with Coinbase. So those are the three I'm kind of looking at, and they all have high yields. But like anything else, you need to do your research. There's risk in everything, guys. You know, the premiums could drop because the volatility dropped. You know, that'd be another risk, Dave. But do I see that happening? Not for the foreseeable future. So anyways, do your research, take a look. A lot of people have, a lot of people are using it. Robert Pierpont at Marino, most YouTube stock people are cons. Yeah, bag holders that push stocks, they're bag holding. Beware of these types. Absolutely. And what's Robert's hitting on there, guys, is that you'll see it like a lot of what's called pump and dump. They'll pump the hell out of this meme coin or this, mainly because they've got a big bag and they want the price to go up, so they get the hell out and they ain't going back in. So be careful of that. I tend to stay only with tried and true. obviously, before I invest in anything, I want to do research on it to know exactly what the hell I'm getting into. Originally, I'll be upfront. I thought Tesla was a car company. Car companies, no, I don't. That's not for me. The more I watched, followed, and researched, the more I realized, shit, it's not really a car company. It's an AI company. And so I don't worry like some people do that follow the stock about car deliveries. How many deliveries did Tesla do? And you're going to hear this reports about, oh my God, Tesla's deliveries are down in the last quarter. Well, yeah, they had a model changeover. They don't tell you that on these reports and these YouTubers that are sensationalists. That they had a model changeover, so the production wasn't there. The old model. Look what's happened. The new model. It's going to be the biggest selling vehicle they got. So, having said that, yeah, you gotta kind of dig in and see. It's not all what it appears to be. But the two YouTubers I mentioned, that's Invest Answers and Brighter with Herbert, I follow because I trust them. I trust their information to be accurate. And until they prove me wrong, I will continue to follow them. Now, having said that, by taking their advice, I've done very well financially, and that's the proof in the pudding with them both. So you make your own call, guys. LV5150, you should follow Ben Cohen as well. He doesn't shill anything. He just runs the numbers and charts. Yeah. So, okay, I haven't heard of Ben. I'll take a look at that. And I do appreciate these tips, guys. If you know, or if you run across people you trust, now hopefully these are people you've followed for quite a while. Don't give me a name of a guy I found last month. You got a month's history with the guy. Hopefully you've been following him for years. The more time you've followed these guys, the more information you have as to whether they're accurate or not. But yeah, I'll check out that Ben. I'm going to make a note of that right now. Sometimes I get these things and I forget. Comes with age, I guess. Ben Cohen. Bear with me here. Cohen. Okay, I made a note. Good. Done. Yeah, I'll check that guy out. You can kind of ascertain fairly quickly if they're of interest. Don Delonic, our XRP man, buying another 10K in Misty before April 9th. Okay, date of record is the 10th. Letting the price go down. Needs more monthly income for my Thailand rent-a-wife. Donnie. So Donnie's looking at putting another 10,000 into Misty. Probably get him around 500 more shares. Generating around this past payment, what about $650, $680? So now he's buying it before April 9th. And the reason is you want to own that stock by the 10th. That's the record date. So the record date is when whoever owns the stock on that date gets the dividend. And you definitely know, I don't cut it as close as Don. I tend to buy probably on the 7th or 8th. Just to make sure the damn thing is, it used to be T+2 for settlement dates. And then I believe now it's back to T+1, but I like to still give it at least 3 days because I don't need no baloney. And, you'd be livid if you missed that dividend. So, or distribution. So, but yeah, good advice. Thanks for that, Donnie. LV Abroad, Kathy Wood, yep, another smart lady, says Bitcoin 26 times, 26x in 2030. Hope she's half right. Kathy Woods is no dummy. I mean, she's made a lot of good, smart moves, and she's made some moves that haven't been as good for selling. I think she sold Nvidia before it went ballistic, and things like that. But you're not always right. As long as you're right more often than you're wrong. But anyways, yeah, she thinks Bitcoin's going to $1 million by 2030. Well, that's like only 5 years, guys. So wouldn't that be interesting if it did? You'd see quite a difference on the planet, I think. LV, no, it was Tesla. Well, I'm not sure what. Okay, sorry. So not Bitcoin, but Tesla. Kathy Woods thinks that Tesla will do a 26. Well, yeah, and now I kind of understand what you're talking there. And the reason she thinks that these big companies, and they're big, this, Kathy Woods, ARK Investments, is they have their research people and they forecast, okay, what are the cars going to do to generate income? What about the robotaxi component of this company? What are they going to generate for income? What about the humanoid robots who are already, believe it or not, being utilized, guys? It's just not on mass scales. What are they going to generate? So the sum of and then they have the battery storage and a couple other items. But when they do the sum of all these parts, they'll come up with this forecast as to what they can generate as far as income, and that in turn can relate to a price estimate. But we'll see. It's interesting times we live in. Robert Pierpont, to be clear, I'm not a huge fan of Robinhood, okay, as a whole, but for options trading, they have the easiest to use interface and no fee on options, but it's not free. They get you on the spread. Nothing's free. So the spread is the difference between the offer price and, the sell price, like bid and ask. So they'll get you a little bit on there, but it's no fees for your options. And that's always important, if you can reduce the fees, guys, especially if you're doing a lot of trading. I guess you would say I don't do a lot of trading. I maybe do 25 trades a month. So, and mainly that's selling calls on the options. And my options are $1.25 an option, which is kind of high because IBKR is cheaper at 60 cents. And then Robinhood, you have like zero fees. So it's just, as a Canadian, I wasn't able to get, at that time, Robinhood. Maybe I could now. But anyways, okay, there's different platforms out there. And Phil T says, what are the best platforms for a newbie and crypto based in Oz to buy in small increments? Is there a minimum dollar amount for a purchase? Okay. Typically on pretty well all of these, Phil, there's no minimum for a purchase. You kind of have to check what the fees are. So if they have I know Tony Montana's platform, he's an Aussie, is $3. So you don't want to be putting in $50 because you're paying 6% commission on $3. So yeah, so check out the fees can dictate, I get ticked when I buy 10 shares and they charge me $1 a share. So I quite often call them and I say, this is ridiculous. So it's quite often they'll rebate me. So that does work for at least me. But yeah, you want to check that out. Now, what platforms? I would Binance is big on the planet. In Thailand here, BitCub is big. Kraken is another one, Kraken apparently. So if you do Grok or Perplexity, Google search, call it even, on platforms that you can use, try and be specific, for an Australian living in Thailand or an Aussie living in Aussie land. What are the best platforms cost-wise? If you be specific with your questions, you'll get these answers back from these things. Like I use Grok a lot now, Grok. I downloaded it from the App Store. I've got Apple, so it was in the Apple App Store. And you can ask that thing anything, and it's quick as far as the response. And so far, it's been accurate, So, but yeah, and Perplexity is another one. Until I found Grok, I was using Perplexity to check out things like this question, Phil, is why I'm mentioning it, and just get the options available to you. Now, I've got a good buddy, James, who told me this story. He's an Aussie. He's got money, but was buying Bitcoin. And every time he wanted to buy Bitcoin, his bank would call him and say, are you sure? It was almost like they want to tell you what to do with your money. And I think after a while, he kind of told him, he says, listen, you want me to pull my business, I'll pull it. Stop calling. At least stop trying to tell me what to do with my money. So I don't know whether it worked or not, but anyways, he was able to buy his Bitcoin. It's just it was interesting that they would call every time he wanted to do it. Like, come on. Um, but anyways, yeah. So some countries are more difficult. I don't find Canada and the US to be difficult to invest, which is good. I've heard horror stories about Europe, England especially. And although not impossible, it tends to be, I'm not going to say difficult, but time consuming in Australia to get what you need, although they do let you. Now, for those people that say, my country, and this happens, my country won't let me invest in Bitcoin. I think England's a perfect example, maybe Germany, but they'll let you invest in the US stocks. So MicroStrategy is your play because that's like a pure play, or IBIT or FBTC. Those are pure plays on Bitcoin and they're on the stock market. So maybe you can buy those stocks, guys, although they won't let you own Bitcoin per se, you can invest in Bitcoin through those stocks. So that might be the option you look at. But I would say, Phil, do that Google search. I don't have a specific one because I use TD Waterhouse out of Canada. And, I'll try and check with some of the Aussies here so I can have an answer on another Monday as to what platforms these expats are using. And not only for Australia, but maybe England as well, just to keep up to date. Robert again, fees are a killer with crypto buying and selling. So many are, 1.5. You don't want to pay that. And that's apparently on Coinbase. That's kind of rich, guys. Kraken had low fees before it was banned in the States. That might come back now with the crypto-friendly administration, but Binance is supposed to be fairly cheap. BitCub is supposed to be fairly reasonable. Again, do your research. Go with the big ones, typically, I tell. And obviously, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You might actually want to have more than one of these platforms to diversify out, your holdings. But yeah, so personally, I wouldn't want to pay 1.5% on a buy. What you should, if you're buying Bitcoin, you want to be maybe around 0.2, 0.3, say, as the top. So like 20% of that fee. I wouldn't want to pay any more. I mean, if you do, say a quarter point, 0.25, you buy one coin at 80 grand, that's $200. It seems like a lot of money, but at 80 grand is probably not. But still, at 1.5%, shit, man, that's like $1,200. The hell with that shit. Yeah, you got to watch the fees. Jim Collis, thank you for being a subscriber, Jimmy. At Phil T, I use Swift TX in Australia. It's easy to set up and use. Thank you very much for that, Jim. So there you go, Phil. There's a subscriber who actually is likely in Australia. That's what he's using. So, geez, guys, that's great. The more, if you guys have exchanges you swear by or using, please mention them. Jim said good luck with that one. Now, having said that, I would still recommend, even if you see it on the channel here, guys, to do your research. Check into what the fees are. Is it doing what you want it to do? If I was looking for a platform, I'm looking to trade stocks and options with low fees. So, and then how easy is it to access the money to get it out? How easy is it to put it in? What are the tax reporting requirements? And, all these little things, but at least you'll get an answer as to what, is available. So thanks again for that, Jim. Hopefully that helps fill out. LV5150, I hate paying Coinbase, but it's one of the safest. Now, LV's got a good point there. He's right. The fees are a little higher there than I would like to pay, but he's absolutely right about it's safe. So Coinbase is U.S. based. It's monitored by the SEC and the regulatory filing holders over there that monitor those things. Interesting fact: of all the Bitcoin ETFs in the States, all but one, that is, they use Coinbase to hold their coins. So you're talking BlackRock, ARK Investments, all of them are using Coinbase to hold their Bitcoin. So there you got to kind of figure Coinbase, BlackRock ain't no dummy. They're the largest on the planet. I think 11 trillion last count they manage. So they're not going with Coinbase if it ain't safe. So now the interesting one is Fidelity. Fidelity is the only one that actually self-custodies their own Bitcoin. So when you buy through Fidelity, FBTC is a ticker symbol, and you're getting a segment of a coin or a whole coin through them, how many shares at how many dollars would equal, your 80-some thousand for your Bitcoin. They actually self-custody on Fidelity. So you don't even have Coinbase involved. So interesting. I don't know the fees on that, but now I just kind of lost the comments here. Let me see. Ran that damn mouse. Let's see. Here we go. Roger Walker, what is the deal buying Misty before April 10th? Okay, so you can buy Misty anytime, Roger. However, they pick a date during the month when whoever owns Misty on that day gets the dividend. And that's what's called the record date. So you want to buy it to own it before April 10th. Now, if you buy it on the 9th and it takes a day to settle, you might, or 2 days even, you might be shut out. So that's why I said go at least 2 or 3 days prior to that record date to ensure that you own the share entitling you to the dividend prior to the payment. So that's what that date is. So whenever you'll see a pay date, which is the date they pay it out, record date, which will be prior to that. But anyways, those are the kind of the key ones to follow. And again, my advice, get in there 2 or 3 days before that, just to be safe. Jeff Sigler, LV 5150, is it Ben Cohen or Ben Cowan? Cowan. Yeah, that's let us know that. Robert Pierpont, it's funny too, as a few people knew that a few years ago, if you had a Coinbase account, you also had a Coinbase Pro account, and fees on Coinbase Pro were 50% of the regular fees. That's gone away now though. Well, seems they're always trying to play with the fees, and they're obviously got to make money too, guys. But yeah, watch that. And now here's a funny little tip. I've called my bank. I've been with them for years, and when I do call, I usually complain about their fees. And geez, there's people trying to steal me, and why, maybe I should move. Your fees are too high. What can you do for me? And I tend to give them that option. I'm not calling every month, but at least twice a year. And sure enough, they'll rebate me some fees. In other words, nothing asked, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You might want to try that and just see if you got, they might say, oh yeah, we'll give you a one-time credit of $100, or we'll give you a month's free trades. Well, that's probably more than $100, So yeah, you'll never know unless you ask, I guess is the point. LV says, I'm thinking of taking my coins off my cold storage and putting it in IBIT, but think I will have to pay through the nose to run it back through Coinbase. So what LV is thinking about doing here, he bought Bitcoin and he put it on a cold storage device. It could be handheld, could be a USB stick, whatever. So they're not held on Coinbase or through Fidelity or anything else. He just had them on this hard drive of some sort, or device, let's say a cold storage device. Could take it anywhere with him. Nobody knew about it. Problems with that, you got to make sure you don't get hit in the head and forget your seed phrases, and don't want to lose your device. God forbid. The guy that lost his in the dump, that hard drive, man, he's out 750 million. But anyways, LV's thinking about taking it off this cold storage and putting it into IBIT. And believe it or not, people, a lot of people did that, in my opinion. When you saw the amount of Bitcoin being sold at the time, a lot of it was from dumping it in cold storage, putting it onto these IBIT. And the reason was they didn't want to worry about seed phrases. They didn't want to worry about losing their devices. With IBIT, that's BlackRock's, Bitcoin ETF. They didn't have to worry. I mean, if the guy passed away in a car accident, his estate would still get the IBIT, the shares. So that's kind of that protection he liked. Now, with that, there is the fees, I think, are 0.2% per year on IBIT. So, it will add up over time. But, obviously, we know that the price appreciation will outweigh the cost. So, but he's wondering about the cost of Coinbase to put it back through there. LV, if you're concerned about your cold wallet, take a look at Coinbase, see what they can do for you. If it's a sizable amount, you might want to, maybe you can work a deal. I don't know, but putting in IBIT, but I think it would, yeah. So to get the coins, he's taking his coins. He's going to have to put it somewhere to get US dollars, take US dollars and buy IBIT. So he's got a middleman there, meaning Coinbase. Yeah, maybe you got to check out these Binance, BitCub, Kraken. Maybe check them out, LV, and see if they have a guaranteed fee for this, and how long to get your money back. So you're basically looking for the cheapest middleman to go from Bitcoin to US dollars. In other words, you're putting that into IBIT. So who's the middleman to handle that? LV says, at Jeff Sigler, it's Benjamin Cowen, Cowen. Okay. I think, hopefully that's what I made a note of. Let me just, okay, COW, sorry. We had it as COWEN. Yeah, I'll check him out. Thanks for that, LV. LV at Jeff, at Into the Cryptoverse. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Dave Stewart, I think you can choose Coinbase Pro for lower fees. Okay, good to know. Phil T, you've disappeared, Brooke. Hopefully I'm back. Yeah, I know I messed up, but I'm trying to see if it's still. Robert Pierpont at Dave Stewart. Yes, but Coinbase Pro costs money now, I do believe. Okay. I think Brooke went to the gym early. Hopefully they still hear me. Okay. Disco Tech 69. Hi, Robert. I live in the UK. Best site, like UK with restrictions, is CEX. Hope this is useful to all. Okay. CEX is the site to try, guys, according to Disco. Brooke is 100% correct. A cold storage on a ledger. Wish you can send from ledger direct to IBIT, but you can't. You got to use that middleman. Robert Pierpont at LV. IBIT is an ETF, correct? That's not at all how it works. Well, I think, Robert, that LV is looking to get his Bitcoin off a cold storage unit. into the ETF. And you can't do it directly from cold storage to the IBIT ETF. You have to use what I call the middleman to generate, like you can invest US dollars into the ETF or, whatever currency you're living in to buy, it'll be priced in US dollars for the ETF, but he has to get his coins from the cold storage and eventually into an ETF. So the middleman's what he's got to use, but hopefully that's clear as mud. LV51, yes, Robert, I have to pay Coinbase to put it back in, then pay to sell to send the cash out by the ETF. So getting like a double whammy. Robert Pierpont at LV, and taxes on the profit from Bitcoin too. Oh, wouldn't that be a son of a bitch? I simply want to hold the shares in Bitcoin. I cold storage, yeah, maybe it's not for me. If you made money, they want the tax before you invest. Oh, so yeah, that's kind of, so you might just get stuck keeping it on the cold storage. Who knows? Okay, well, I think that's it for the day, guys. What are we at here? Got to be an hour and a half now, I think. So, yeah, we'll let you go. I think Cooper's back on Tuesday, April 1st. I don't think he's planning a Wednesday live stream, guys, because he's probably had a long journey, so he'll be resting. But definitely back on Saturday night. So that's good. And if you can hit that like and subscribe button, he always appreciates that. It does make Darlene smile. So we can do that. And we'll get one last comment here. Thank you for your time once again, Brooke. Have a great day, sir. Yeah, I'll be off to the gym. And thanks again, guys. It's been fun. And hopefully it was a bit of help today. Money Matters on Mondays. And check out those Invest Answers and Brighter with Herbert if you're interested either in, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, Tesla. He does talk about Solana, although I'm not in that. But and we'll see you again next time. So without further ado, stay safe. And how do I get out of this thing here? See you guys. Be good.